Hello, in this video I'm going to share the process of how I make my sourdough bread, and I will share also the recipe that I use for my sourdough bread. I've been using this recipe for 2 years and I think it's perfect, so keep watching till the end. Before actually starting your dough, you will make a levain, and for this you will need equal parts of your mature starter with flour and room temperature water. After you mix all of this together, you will let this rest for 2 hours. And then in the meantime, you can get started in mixing out the ingredients for your actual dough. So while my levain is rising, I go ahead and measure out the flour that I need for my dough. I use unbleached bread flour, a little bit of whole wheat flour, and then I go ahead and add my room temperature water. Go ahead and mix these ingredients, and after 2 hours your levain should be bubbly and have risen some. You will go ahead and add this to your dough and incorporate it in very well. The dough is going to be very sticky and hard to handle. It should be wet but not too wet. We are going to let this dough rest for 25 minutes before we actually put in the salt. So during that time, you can go ahead and measure out the salt that you're going to need, but just wait 25 minutes before we add the salt. After 25 minutes, you can go ahead and add your salt and incorporate it very well into the dough. And then you're going to, that would be essentially like your first fold. In total, we're going to be making 5 folds. And basically what you do is you will go around in a circle on the edge of the dough and fold it in for the first fold. After each fold, you will let the dough rest for 25 minutes. And on the second fold, instead of going around the dough and folding it in, you will simply just grab it from the middle and pull it up and stretch it. Tuck it in, and then you can go ahead and repeat it one more time. Stretch it out again, and then tuck it in again, and then just form a tight ball and let it rest for another 25 minutes. You will be doing this 4 more times. Don't forget to always cover your dough with something so that it doesn't dry up. With each fold, you will notice that your dough is getting more structure, and you will also need to be more gentle with it, and it's going to be less sticky and more easy to handle. After your 5 folds, you will divide the dough in half and do your first shaping. For this first shaping, I simply form a ball using tension with the table. I do it as tight as possible, and I will leave this to rest for 30 minutes before I do my second shaping. For the final shaping, we will be transferring to a basket, or any rounded bowl works here. So we just need to flour it so the dough doesn't stick. And for the dough, what I do is I extend the dough, and I'm going to fold the top of the dough into the middle, and then the bottom I will fold on top of the other fold. I will then turn it vertically and roll it up. And this, I'm going to let it rest for a minimum of 4 hours. Make sure to pinch the seam and cover the dough so it doesn't dry up. If you do the 5 folds, you should be able to get a perfect sourdough bread in 4 hours. Otherwise, I have left this dough in the fridge overnight, and then the next morning I will bake it and it comes out perfect. So basically, the longer it rests, the better this bread will be. Don't forget to also preheat your oven to 500 degrees Fahrenheit before, or 1 hour before, putting in your bread. You will also want to have your Dutch oven inside the oven so that it is hot when you put in your dough inside. Don't forget to also score your bread so that your bread expands beautifully. Tip number 1 is that you will want to have steam inside your oven, so make sure that you have like a baking sheet with water inside the oven. And for the first 20 minutes, you will have the lid on your Dutch oven. After 20 minutes, you will remove the lid and let it bake for another 15 or 20 minutes without the lid. Tip number 2 is to use a poke test to test your dough and see if it's ready. Basically, what you do is, if you poke into the dough and it bounces back slowly, then you know that it is ready. If you poke into your dough and it bounces back really fast, then you know that it needs some time to rest. Or if you poke into the dough and it doesn't come back up at all, then you might have let it rest too long. Tip number 3 would be to always let your bread cool for 1 to 2 hours before cutting it in, because during that time it is still cooking. Lastly, what makes a sourdough bread perfect is that you have a mature starter. When I first started this recipe and my starter was still young, my bread did not come out like this, even though I did the exact same steps. But over time, the more I did my starter, the more I used it, it became stronger, more mature, more fermented, and so my bread just came out better and better each time I did my sourdough bread. So don't give up and keep using your starter, keep maintaining it, keep feeding it, and you will have the perfect bread in no time. So that is it for this video. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm going to share the recipe that I use, and I actually got this recipe from a guy here on YouTube, and I can't find his channel to add him in the description area to give him credit, but once I do find it, I will add that in the description area. Thank y'all for watching, and I will see y'all in my next video.